market or a targeted market, you really have to seek through a trending competition, a market trending competition, or your business's competition, or what are the various measured trends that has been going in around a market, and also the regulatory requirements that you need to uh, accumulate, or you need to at least acknowledge regarding your business's decisions. Okay, so export market research basically is very important when it comes to when you're making a decisions for your businesses on promoting it in on an international level, and you have to at least consider researching a market a bit, like a trendiest market, uh, fashion that's been going in around, or a trend. For an example, I'm sorry, uh, for an example, it could be anything like how many of the companies are using TikToks to promote their brand, or Instagram Reels to promote their brands. They target a uh, basic consumer circle. For an example, youths most basically are on Instagrams, are most basically on social medias. So you promote your products there, you promote your services there. So it's basically famous over there, right? Moving on to the next slide. Identifying target markets. So how could you basically identify a target market around? Target market could be analyzed or even evaluated by understanding the cultural nuances, like cultural diversity, cultural differences that goes around, that is happening around, or like you target your market as per their social needs or an cultural needs. For an example, if you have to sell a puja's saman, or like a saman related to arti or tilak or prasad, you go to a Hindu state, right? You go to a Hindu nations around. So what you do is like you set your target market where your product could be sold out easily, where your product could be famous, or where your product could gain enough acknowledgements that people use it on their daily basis, or even in a luxurious way, or even through a necessity, basic amenities, right? So what identifying a target market could do is like it could prioritize and also helps you in focusing up your resources effectively, immediately and effectively, which also brings to how a market entry strategies could be implied in your businesses. For an example, choosing an solid market entry strategies is really necessary when you are about to showcase your business in an international level. For an example, a joint venture, like there are multiple joint ventures that has a company established in various nations around. For an example, Domino's Pizza, Coca-Cola, Unilever, right? So they have these joint ventures. They have these, uh, what do I say? They have this established form of branding going in around their nations, right? Or their subsidiaries around. So a market entry strategies on how you build your brand and how you showcase it to other nation in much more of a luxurious way or much more of a necessity way really is important when you're trying to enter a market. Okay, moving on to our next learning outcome. So basically, the first title, that's how a market research, like a export market research, should be done, or how a target market could be identified. There's another topic that we move around into, that's market research methods and tools. What are the research methods that we need to seek around to target a market, or what are the tools that we could use to imply it, to expand our export of the product and of our services? So, what really is market research methods and tools? So, market research methods and tools includes a varieties of techniques and resources that we need to gather around, analyze, or even interpret data regarding a specific market. These methods and tools, what they do is like they helps us in understanding, as I've explained earlier, consumer preferences, market trends that goes around your market competition. Like you're not the only one who's promoting a certified businesses around. Like there might be a bunch and series of competitions that needs to go around, right? And a bunch of strategies on how you could overcome contemplate your competitors around, or even many much more of the factors that you need to influence your target market. For an example, if you need to sell off ethnic dresses, for an example kurti, or earrings or cultural dresses. So since Nepal and India, they share a similar cultural values, or even societal norms, and even some of the societal values that they have around, right? So what you do is you need to gather around some of the tools and some of the methods that you could imply on like establishing your well-off business in Nepal. So you're selling off kurtis, or you have a company that produces goods regarding kurtis, or even materials regarding kurtis. You go to Nepal. On how you plan to showcase is really important, right? So a bunch of research methods is required on how do people buy those products of, or what are the price that they are considerate on, like what should be the price, what are their demands, like what are the kind of clothes that they wear, like ethnic dresses, but what kind of kurtis that they wear. Do they prefer cotton, or do they prefer chiffon, or do they prefer georgette? Like is price efficiency well enough for the people over there? Could my business flourish over there, right? So there are a bunch of research methods and tools that you need to imply when it comes to market research, and the techniques to market research. So what we could do is like we could start it from data mining. Data, as the world has become a global village. So data in its efficiency, what it could do is like you could accumulate a bunch of data. For an example, I told you, research includes accumulating all of the resources around that you have in order to promote your business, right? Market research in order to promote your business. So data mining, what it helps you is like it just gives you an insight on, on people, on their choices, on their income, on their price efficiency on a certain product, or even their uh, behavior on how much they bargain, or what are the price ranges that they're happily willing to pay, right? So these are all of the algorithms that includes in a data mining. So what data mining actually includes is, you could accumulate those data, and you could bring out a conclusion on, okay, so these percent of the people are interested in buying kurtis of georgette, these percent of the people are interested in buying uh, these kind of cotton kurtis or anything like that, right? So data mining, what it gives you is like it helps in understanding a certain pattern or a certain trend that you need to accumulate to in order to promote your business in an international level. Moving on to the next point, what another point could be is like you could promote a social media analysis on consumer behavior. It again comes to consumer sentiments or consumer preferences, right? As our business, as our business, it's not only not only we do our businesses for profit, but also we do consider it on an acknowledgement that people are out there are really liking our products, right? So an analysis on social media could do, since the world has surely has become a global village, and we get people all around the world providing their opinions. So monitoring social media platforms could give you an advanced step on a decision making on, what market trends could you follow, or you could get a bunch of customer feedback on how your product should regulate, or you could improvise your product as per their preferences. Predictive modeling, after you do a certain analyze data mining and analyze social media trends, and after you follow a series of research that you do around to promote your business, what you could also do is like you could predict, like you could prepare a predictive model in order to promote your business. For an example, you could also from the data that you've accumulated, you could also predict on what are the future trends that would come around, or who are the social media influencers, what could they do in order to promote your products around. Or even like you could analyze the historical data, how 90s fashions were a trend in 2022's 2023's, right? So the trend always comes back. But what it also could do is like you could have a recorded data on what consumer were peaking at, or what kind of products were consumer really liking about. Or even you could develop a bunch of strategies around like what a market regarding similar products are doing to promote their products, right? Not meaning to copying off that product, but like not meaning to copying the kind of trend that they follow, or the strategies they're using to promote a product. But what you could also do is like you could at least have a safer side on your field, that these are the things that I could do on forwards. Or you could even have a creative side on that, so you could always predict, you could always create a predictive modeling in order to have a set of decisions, set of discourses, and also develop a bunch of strategies around. Okay. After that, after following a bunch of market research and methods, what we could also include is consumer behavior analysis, like how a consumer behavior could be analyzed. Okay. So, consumer behavior in general, when it comes to consumer behavior, what do we have in mind? First things first, it's how they purchase our products, or how a product is presented to them, or how they've been exploring the product that you provide, right? So this course, this title basically focuses on consumer behavior in export markets, how consumer behavior is influenced in export markets. For an example, there are various bunch of factors that needs to be adapted to analyze the consumer behavior in export markets. Like how a marketing strategies, I told you, strategy is a must in order to promote a business, not only in a national level, or not only on your territorial area, but also on an international level, right? Marketing strategy is really important. So what this title of presentation would help you with is how your purchasing decisions, or how adapting a marketing strategies could influence consumer behavior in export markets. Okay. So, as I've explained earlier, how cultural differences, how cultural similarities, how local preferences of people, how the price flexibility, or how purchasing decisions of an consumer actually influences a consumer preference on buying a product, right? So, what this slide would do is like it would provide you an analysis on consumer behavior. Okay, so as I've explained earlier, consumer behavior is directly proportional to consumer buying habit, or purchase decisions, or cultural nuances, or even their preferences on the material, on the flexibility that they have with the products, right? the familiarity of the product. So there is an impact of economic factors in influencing consumer behavior the most, because after all they're buying our products, after all they're purchasing it for their basic amenities or for their basic needs or for their luxurious needs or any need, any kind of need, they are purchasing our product on the first place. So there are so many bunches of economic factors that could influence a consumer behavior. For an example, their income levels, on how much they earn, on how much are they willing to spend on a product, or even the currency fluctuations. Like your products could be INR 110 rupees, for an example, and uh, Nepali people are spending 110 NPR, which is much more less for the same products that they're gonna buy. So it should be price efficient as well, right? Pricing strategies, for an example, how Amazon on its initial phase put up like everything, every products that they owned, or even Flipkart, like they had all of these products with them. Like they kept it on 70% sale, 80% sale, but when their profit just peaked over some period of time, they just came back to, you know, how the regular pricing emphasis were done, right? So there are a bunch of economic factors, which basically mostly it includes income level of a people, income level of consumer, on how much they do they earn, what are the capacity to invest or even purchase a product, or even how much are they willing to invest, right? And another would be currency fluctuations. Like it could be much cheaper in their home country rather than you providing that similar product with same features, same capability. And another is pricing strategies on how you place it on a market. Another factor that influences consumer behavior is culture. So cultural values, tradition, social norms, like these are also the factors in our consumer behavior that influences market decisions, or even the decisions regarding your product on how you place it. As an example, I told you there might be some arti saman, or even puja related saman that India might be exporting to Nepal, but Nepal on its own perks, they do have an established form of industries regarding these, or even similar products, all of these on a price efficient norm. So their cultural values, their traditions, or their social norms could directly influence their buying behavior, especially in an export market, because most of the people are all about their nation, on, you know, if the industry of my nation or the business of my nation is doing great, or even providing the similar kind of facilities that the other international products could do, then why not go support a Nepali industry or a Nepali business, right? Moving on to adapting, how a marketing strategies could be adapted for an indecisive, or like for an decisive entry in export markets. What it does is, like, you know, you need a strong, a stable marketing strategies to at least be familiar, or at least influence the local consumers that buy your products, right? You should at least make them flexible enough, or, like, you know, you should at least make them familiar with your products through advertising, through local promotion, even through collaborating with a local businesses around, local market around. So every needs of your product and every needs of consumer should be accumulated, it should be combined, and it should be tailored around in order to cater all of those cultural contexts that people have. Regulatory compliance. So whenever you enter any kind of market, rather it be national, state level, or even the businesses in around your territory, or that expands beyond your territory, you need to follow up some of the regulations that you need to acknowledge in order to promote your business. So in today's global market, there are various of regulatory requirements. For an example, as you said yesterday, that the if you're selling off a product, it needs to be certified. Like in a Muslim community, halal products needs to be certified, or it needs to be stamped over to consider it halal. Or some vegan products, it needs to be stamped over to place it as a vegan product, right? It should be certified. And there are bunches and bunches of regulations. For an example, uh, China does not imports any, like, I mean, China does not imports anything in its territory. It just export. It just happens to export so many bunches of products around. So there are various of regulatory requirements that needs to be followed if you're promoting your businesses outside a territory. So what could be the key strategies on, ensuring that you're following up a regulatory compliance in your export businesses? Before delving onto that, what really is an export regulation? So export regulation, it basically could be known as the knowledge of tariffs, sanctions, or export controls, or the regulations in within a governing international trade, uh, that could, influence the timeline or the criteria of your export activity. And what it could do is, like, if you don't go through a proper export regulation, there could be some legal consequences. Like, there could be a punishment. So you should always follow up some export regulations. So what are the factors that is directly proportional to export regulation? The first is a risk assessment and due diligence. How conducting a risk assessment and due diligence is very essential in uh, promoting your business and promoting its potentiality in complying some issues, which could include checking and testing of products, end use of products, like manufacturing date, branding of product, and also the country of destination, their regulations on export, their variations on the kind of products they are willing to sell out in their territory, right? So these are the kind of risk assessment and due diligence that one needs to assure that before selling off their products, they need to go through a certified process. But another thing that you could do to ensure that you're following up the export regulation is documentation. So for an example, you're selling a computer that you've produced, that your company is producing, that your company has been working around with. So what could be the proof that these products belongs to you, that you have this authentic value on holding all of the official possession of these businesses or of the products that you're offering? So accurate and comprehensive documentation is required whenever you're trying to operate your business in an international level or in an export operation. So what you could do is, like, you could maintain a record of export licenses, the documents that you need to ship your product, or even the classification of the kind of commodity that you're promoting at an international level, or even keeping a record of a proper audit and the inspection that has been done on your product. Also training and education, like, it is furthermore really very important, education on how your product is functioning, or how your product has been regulating, or how your product is doing in a market. The education and the training regarding the regulatory updates regarding your product is really necessary when you're trying to upscale your business. So investing in, training and education for your employees working in your company, or providing regulatory updates to your employees, or even updating your company timeline on export regulation weekly, monthly, keeping an update. So that could you be used as a defense against the list of risk uh, that needs to be acknowledged. Market entry strategies. So there are various form of strategies that you could use to enter a market, rather it be national, international, some market near your territory. So you should know how your business is functioning around in your territory, and you should have the resources done on what kind of market you've chosen to promote your products. So what this title actually explores is, how you could use strategic approaches to enter a market to gain an edge, like a certified edge in the industry. So we'll discuss some of the tactics and methods on how you expand your market and increase your potentiality. So first point is market analysis. As I've said, consumer are the primary functionality of your business, right? So to promote your business on a market, you have to analyze, you have to use a series of methods and a bunch of researches to actually study the market, to actually know how the market is functioning, and to actually know how your competitors or other businesses are doing in that market, right? So what you could do is, like, you could identify some segments or some competitions around that has been selling similar products as your company is producing. You could use the SWOT analysis: strength, weakness, uh, organization and threat, like analysis to understand opportunities and threats and strengths and weaknesses of an organization. Or you could identify the potentiality of market. So a proper market analysis should be done at an initial stage. Moving on to how your product is differentiated in that market. So product differentiation. So what you could also do is, like, you could implement a product differentiation to create a unique proposition and stand out in the market. Like, focus on innovation, focus on customer experience, focus on consumer behavior, focus on how your product could be creative and how your product could be acknowledged among every products in the market. So have that creative side on branding your product, on how your product is different from other. So a product differentiation could be done. And another thing is, like, you could create a strategic partnership with businesses around, like, how you could keep up a joint venture with a local business that has been promoting a similar products. Or you could collaborate and take a marketing initiative with uh, the local market, or even expand your reach and new customer segments on, how how a complete different circle of customers could influence your products. Like, give out free testaments of your products, or even use an advertisement, like a very attractive advertisement, in order to promote your product. Also, a very important thing, how a marketing entry tactics could be used in influencing the product. So how you're trying to enter your market. For an example, you could keep a testament series of pricing, like discounted offers like Flipkart did. Or you could use a bunch of promotional campaigns. You could uh, approach few of the social media influencers, as we live in this global era. Or you could use this new trends that has been going in around market, or you could also adapt a new distribution channel in order to optimize the kind of market that you're investing on. Moving on to, okay, so we've done a series of titles that acknowledges export market. So how an export market plan could be executed? So what this title would do is like it would provide an insight on the kind of strategies that could be used on an export market planning. Market analysis, as I've explained, like you need to identify your target market, you need to identify the potentiality of market, and also use SWOT analysis to evaluate internal as well as external factors that needs to be included in order to promote your business or in order to execute a export plan. So a proper market analysis should be done. Another is like competitive landscape. You know, you have to acknowledge your competitors around on how they are doing in a market, or how they've invested in their customers, or how they've taken care of their customer preferences, how they've acknowledged their consumer buying behavior. So you need to know your competitors as well as consumers um, strengths and weaknesses on, you know, how you could uniquely sell your product as compared to your competitor. And there are bunches of factors that needs to be considered in executing a proper export market plan, that is selecting an appropriate market entry strategy, first thing. Second thing, like building up a joint venture or strategic alliances, acknowledging consumer buying behavior, and cost and risk of, you know, how your product is going to be functioned in a market. And for that, what you must do is like you need to develop a proper marketing plan that includes a major target market, and also that includes distribution channels, like an effective distribution channels and partnership, to an extent that your product has been reached up to the dedicated market and to the dedicated consumers, and they are really satisfied with your products. So to conclude, the process of exporting involves a series of processes, a series of steps that needs to be followed around so that you could flourish in a foreign market. For an example, you need to have a proper market research, you need to have a strategic uh, planning on how you're promoting a product. Market research includes analysis of a consumer behavior, or analyzing the local markets around, analyzing the regulations of exports, analyzing the pricing strategies, analyzing your competitors' functionality in a market, right? So it involves a crucial amount of steps on, you know, how you could flourish in a foreign market. Also, all in all, by employing the right kind of methodologies and the tools and marketing efficiency on how you're trying to promote a business, could also help in promoting a sustainable growth and expansion of your product in a global marketplace. So thank you very much.